Hello everyone and welcome back to the second animation tutorial. Today we're gonna go through a walk cycle and I'll show you what are we gonna do. So basically this is just a normal walk cycle. This character doesn't have arms, so we can focus just on legs, which is really important when you're learning how to do a walk cycle. So in order to do this, we may want to watch at some references because it's always good to understand what you have to do before you actually do it. So for references, you can either look up on internet. So I have here. I found on YouTube is really simple to find references. I found on YouTube. You can just type in walk cycle animation references. It's better to have references from actual footages. So it's better to have references from acting performances, so you can see the actual human body and not another animation, which could not be perfect. So if you press play now, we can literally scroll. We can literally see, in this case in slow motion, how a walk cycle should be. And also, to make life easier, we can also take a look at some thumbnails. So the better place to find a good walk cycle thumbnails, of course, it's the Animator's Survival Kit by Richard Williams, that we know really well. And of course I've downloaded an image because it's a bit difficult to show you the book. So we have here a part of the thumbnails for a walk cycle. So as you can see here, we have the first position. It's the exactly same as the last position, because in order to do a walk cycle, they need to be the same. Not similar, but the exact same. So as you can see here, the first position is the contact position, where basically both of the feet are touching the ground, but of course there are some part that we need to adjust, of course, in order to make a better walk cycle. And then after the contact, we have the down position, whereas the body actually goes down, as you can see here. And then we have the pass position, where basically the foot from the back, it passes basically forward, and of course the body is going up, but not as much as the next position, which is the up position, which the body is completely up and the foot now is basically forward. And then we have another contact position, which is the same. Is not actually the same as the other one, because this is half of our thumbnails. So we have basically the reverse position. So basically they're exactly the same, if you notice, but inverse arm and inverse leg. So this one, it was backwards, now it's forward. This one, the same. So after that, we're gonna have another down position with, of course, reverse legs and arms, and then we have another pass position, always with reverse arms and legs, and then we have another up position, and then we have another contact position, which this time is going to be the exactly same as the first one, so that we can make a cycle. So for today, for this walk cycle, as you did see in Maya, we're gonna use this character here, and now I'll show you where to find this character on internet. So if we go back, it's the same website as we use for the the bow, which is here. Instead of ultimate bow, it's called the ultimate walker. So again, to make life easier, I'll put the link in the description below so you can download it. And of course, once you've downloaded, you can import the rig into Maya. So we're gonna go under File, New Scene. We're not gonna save this one. So now we have a new scene, and of course, as we did last time, let's do the boring part, which is project window, new project. We're gonna go this walk cycle project, and we're gonna accept this. Once we've done that, let's go under set the project we just created. And after that, we're ready to import our rig. So we're gonna go under File, Import, and of course it's gonna be in Downloads, Ultimate Walker, and then we're gonna select our Maya file. Cool. So now we have our rig here. So as you can see, it has this black parts. It's not a problem, it's not broken. Just go under lighting and tick the two-sided lighting. So everything is gonna be perfect now. So I'm gonna go quickly through the controllers. It's really basic, like the bouncing ball. You can move this controller here, you can rotate this part here. You also have the squash and stretch here, and you have these two controllers. Of course, they lead the feet. You can also rotate them, of course, and plus they have sliders here. They have controllers. So, for example, if we want to play around with the foot, we have the foot roll, which is this little guy here. We also have the foot brake, which it looks like is not doing anything, but if you shift select the foot brake and the foot roll, and you play around with them together, you can actually see that it's doing, maybe not this way, but this way is clearly doing something, and is actually really useful. So then we have the toe roll, which is this little guy here. And yeah, we also have this here. We have leg twist. You can slightly see here is moving, but I think we don't really need these controllers here. We'll see. Then you have these two controllers, which are the controllers for the knees, but we don't really have to use them. So as long as they're in this position, which is 0, 0, 0, 0, we're good to go. Okay, so before starting our animation, let's, as usual, check our settings. So we're gonna click on this little guy here, and we're gonna check the frame rate, which is 24 frames per second. It's cool. We're gonna check the playback speed. It has to be at 24 frames per second real time. And then you can maybe want to change the update view from active to all. So if we have a lot of panels, we're gonna see the animation on all of them. And then we're gonna go under animation, and then you can find here in tangents the default one should be auto, but we don't want auto, we actually want spline curves. So we're gonna select spline on both, and then we can press save. should take like exactly. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna set our timeline, and if we go back to our reference, not the one I showed you before, I found another reference, which is from always from the book. You can see that basically our previous reference, which is this one, is basically the first part. It's basically like this, if we wanna say it. So in here, of course, you're gonna have the exact same thing, but with reverse legs and arms. One thing you have here as well are the frames. So I think today we're gonna stick to this to these frames. So we're gonna set our timeline to 25 frames, and then we're gonna put our position, for example, our down position, frame 4, the past position, frame 7, up 10, and like this. So let's go back into Maya, and we're gonna change our timeline first. So let's put one over here, and then we're gonna put 25 over here. So once we've done that, we can continue with our actual view. So if you here in a workspace you have Maya Classic, it's maybe better to use the animation workspace. So now theoretically the graph editor should pop up straight away. If you still don't have it for some reason, let's just go under Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editors. So you're gonna have your graph editors here, which we really need today. It's really important. And then another thing that we can do is to split our view in two panels. So in here we're gonna have our perspective view, and in here we actually want our side view, but now is front. So let's change it. Panels, orthographic, side. And another thing that we can do is again lighting, two-sided lighting. Okay, so now we're ready to start. Okay, so let's grab our reference again, whichever. I think it's maybe best to use this one, because we have the whole cycle, and also we don't have arms, so we're not gonna be distracted. I'm sorry if it's a little bit pixelated, if the quality is not the best, but as I told you before, is best to use, of course, the book. Or if you don't have the book, just find an image online and just print it, so you can have it in front of you. Otherwise, you can also import the image in Maya, but I don't know, I'd rather prefer have my paper and my thumbnails. So let's have a look at the first position. As you can see, we have one foot forward, the other foot backwards. So sorry, we're gonna start and do that. And of course it's a contact position, so the body is not down as the fourth frame, it's a little bit lower than, of course, when it's an up position. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pull the body a little bit down, and we can pull the body a little bit forward as well, so that we're gonna simulate like the fact that he's walking. So of course his body is a little bit forward, and then we can also rotate it a little bit with the rotate axis a little bit, leaning down, just to to make it a little bit more realistic and not stuck to the initial position. So once we've done that, let's select this control. Let's go on frame 1 and press S. Of course, it's easier, if you remember, to activate the auto key over here. So as soon as, for example, we go on frame 7 and we make a change, we already have our keyframe automatically. Cool. So the first thing that we're gonna move, it's our left foot. We're just gonna put the foot forward. Make sure to not break this bit. So of course, if you pull this too much, the knee is gonna bend on the wrong side, and of course the foot is gonna go up in a weird way, and we don't want that. So let's just pull this until the knee is just a little bit bended, because even if we pull the foot like this, we have our straight leg. It's a little bit weird when we finish our animation and we play it. We're gonna have like a tick, so we don't want that. Let's just keep this knee a little bit bended. And once we've done that, we're gonna put the foot like in our reference in this way. So in order to do that, instead of using the rotate tool, we're gonna use our controls here. So we have the foot roll, which, if you remember, is this one, and of course we're gonna bend it a little bit. We'll say maybe about 33 units. It's entirely up to you. So this gives us the chance to pull the foot a little bit further away, which is like this. Cool. Once we're happy with this position, since we just moved not all of the controllers, what we can do, we can select this control here and press S, just in case. Just because we want to save all of the keyframes, even if they're we didn't touch them, they're still on 0, it's fine, we just want to save them. So once we've done that, let's just grab the other foot and let's just pull it backwards. Again, don't break the knee. So what are we gonna do with this foot is, again, watch the reference. It's in contact with the floor. So a part of the foot is touching the floor and the other one is a little bit bended. So as I showed you before, we're gonna use the foot brake together with the foot roll. So select the foot brake, shift, select the foot roll, and middle button of your mouse, drag left and right. So I would say maybe 50 units. Yeah. Once we've done that, we can pull this again a little bit backwards. I would say like this. And once I'm happy, again, let's just press S. So our position is saved. Cool. So if you remember what I told you before, in order to have a good walk cycle, the first position needs to be the exactly same as the last one. So what we're gonna do, since we already have this position here at the first frame, we're just gonna drag a marquee box all over our controllers, and we're gonna press S. So we're gonna save each single control and each single position, and we're gonna scroll all the way down through frame 25 and we'll press S again to save this position. So what are we gonna do next? We're gonna go halfway through our animation, and basically what is gonna happen, we're gonna have the exactly same position, but if you notice, the legs and foot and feet are inverted. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna save this position again, because we want to keep this position the exactly same. So now we have this position here, and then we're just gonna invert the feet. A quick way to do this is literally to copy this position and paste it here, because we don't want to spend time on adjusting every single foot every time. So we can just copy and paste these positions. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna go on frame 1, we're gonna select the left foot, and we're just gonna press with the right click of our mouse on frame 1, and we're just gonna copy these keyframes. After that, we're just gonna drag the other foot, we're gonna go on frame 13, we're gonna right click and then paste, paste. As you can see here, we have the exactly same position here. So again, let's go back on frame 1. This time we need to copy this position. So let's select this foot first, copy, and then let's go on this one. Let's select the other foot. Let's go on frame 13, and again, paste. It's really easy and straightforward. So as you can see, we have same position at frame 1 and 25, and reverse position at frame 13. Cool. So what are we gonna do now? We're gonna approach this animation pose by pose. So we're gonna do, for example, now we're gonna do our pass position, and then we're gonna do the reverse one. Then we can do our up position, and then the reverse one, and then down position, and then the reverse one. It's basically how we're gonna approach this animation. So now let's go at frame 7, and let's do our pass position. As you can see, one foot is completely touching the ground, and the other one is just about to pass through, to go forward. So this is the position that we have to replicate. So let's go on frame 7. Actually, we don't need the perspective view right now. Maybe it's best to keep it, just to select maybe the foot in a better way. So let's just leave it there. Sorry. Let's go on at frame 7, and this foot here is completely touching the ground. So what we need to do, we need to take off these two values. So we're not gonna have anything touching. Sorry, we're not gonna have foot roll or stuff like that. So our foot is completely touching the ground. We also have our translate Y value on 0. But what we need to do, we need to pull the body a little bit down, maybe not too much, just in order to make the foot touch the ground. And then we can pull this forward a little bit. Actually, saying that, when we pull the foot forward a little bit, as you can see, it's too bended, so we actually don't need to pull down the body. So let's drag again this control here. Let's go on the translate Y value, select this keyframe and delete. And we're gonna leave it like this. So once we've done that, again, left foot, press S to set all of the keyframes. Even if we just moved not all of the axis, it's fine. Let's just select a keyframe. After that, we're gonna select the other foot, and what are we gonna do? Again, I would say let's take off the foot brake value, because the foot is actually in the air and we don't need it. We're gonna play around with the foot roll. This time we're gonna pull it all the way down until it's basically pointing the ground. I know that it looks weird now, but as soon as we pull this foot back a little bit, we can actually get more or less our past position. So maybe we want this foot a little bit like this. Okay, once we're happy, press S to save this position. And what I would say is to pull the body a little bit up. Not that much, but just a little bit. Cool. So again, let's, just in case, select both of them, press S. So now what are we gonna do? We're gonna do the reverse position. So let's do the hip first. We just put basically this translate Y value, and we're just gonna copy this value here at frame 19. So again, let's just select this keyframe here by Control C, and then let's go at frame 19, and let's press Control V. So basically we just copied this the translate Y value. After that, let's go again at frame 7, and we want this position to be on the other foot. So let's select this guy here. Let's right click and copy. We're gonna go at frame 19. We're gonna grab the other foot, right click, and then paste. Once we've done that, let's go back at frame 7, and we want to copy this position here now. So copy. Okay, let's select the other foot. Let's go on frame 19 and paste. So if we go now between frame 19 and 7, they should be the same. Cool. So once we've done that, let's proceed again. Make sure, of course, let's go on frame 19, select both of the feet, and make sure to press S. So we're gonna actually save this position here. So we can actually keep going with our animation. So let's check again our reference. We're gonna do the down position, so at frame 4, one foot is completely touching the floor and it's forward, and the other one is backwards. So let's go at frame 4. So this foot here, let's put 0 on these values. Let's pull the body down. We can exaggerate a little bit. If we notice then it's not what we were looking for, we can change it later. No worries at all. So let's pull it down, and we can put this foot forward a little bit, and then press save, and then let's grab the other one, and again let's put 0 on actually just the foot brake, because we want to keep this position here. So 0 on the foot brake, and maybe we want to pull the foot backwards a little bit, like this, and then press S again. What we want to have here, so basically if you scroll backwards a little bit to the timeline, what we want to have is maybe to keep our foot on the floor. So let's go on our translate Y value and let's put 0. And what we also want is, actually it's kind of good. So as you can see here, our foot is going up a little bit, but it's always more or less at the same position. So we kind of want to keep that, so maybe we can pull this forward a little bit. Exactly. So it's gonna be much more realistic. Okay, so we are at frame 4. We want to copy this value on the other foot. So right click, copy, and then let's grab this value here. Let's go at frame 16 and we're gonna paste the value. Cool. Once we've done that, let's go again at frame 4 and we want this value to go on the other foot. So frame 4, copy again, let's go on the other foot, frame 16, and we're gonna paste this position. And of course we also need to do this for the body. If you remember, we just basically worked with the translate y value, which is the down position. So again, we just need to drag and select this keyframe here, Control C, let's go on frame 16 and Control V. So now if we scroll between frame 16 and 4, again there should be the same. Cool. So I think we have now our last two positions, which are the up position, so frame 10 and frame 22. So let's go at frame 10. So the body needs to go up, of course, since it's a up position. And then we can copy this position straight away. So let's drag and select this keyframe here, Control C, and then let's go on frame 22, Control V. Let's go back at frame 10, and so this foot here is backward, the other one is it's a little bit forward. Actually, it's the same height as the body. So let's pull this guy. Actually, I think it was a good position. We can maybe play around a little bit more with the foot roll, so it's gonna give us we can actually, by doing this, we can actually pull the foot backwards a little bit more, which is what we're looking for. So I would say like this. So again, press S to save this position, and then the other foot, we can maybe play around with the foot roll a little bit more. Maybe like this, we can pull it like this, I would say. Let's always check our reference, and yeah, I would say we can maybe face our foot roll a little bit more like this and like this. Cool. Once you're happy with your position, again, save, and we're gonna copy everything into frame 22. So this guy here, let's copy this position here, and again, let's grab this guy here, let's go at frame 22, and let's paste this position. So they should be, actually, this one is a bit different. Let's have a look into it. So if we select this guy here, we have keyframes on everything, so it should be okay. So let's just copy this guy. Let's select the other foot. Let's go on frame 22 and then paste the keyframe. So now they should be the same. Exactly. So we finished all of the positions. So now, theoretically, if you go at frame 1 and we press play, we should have kind of a walk cycle. If we zoom in and we watch really close, we can see that we, of course, we need to polish our animation. But I would say that this is a really good result. So, first of all, to polish our animation, what we want to check, we're gonna select all of the controllers, and we want select all of the keyframes as well, and we want the spline curves. So we want everything to be spline. So it's this little guy here. So once you've selected all of the keyframes, it's this little button here. And once we've done that, for example, let's focus on just this foot here. Let's check if it's completely on the ground, which is cool. Yeah. If you're having some troubles here, because when I did this animation before, I had some problems here with the curves, so the foot was not staying on the floor from frame 4 to frame 7. So what I had to do is just to select these two guys here, these two keyframes here, and just straighten this line. So by pressing the linear tangents here. So if you do that, you're gonna notice that your foot is gonna be exactly on the floor for the whole these frames here. So let's check the other one again as well. Okay, everything looks nice. The only thing I can notice is that, for example, here at this frame here, 11, as you can see, we have the knee that is going a little bit crazy. So what I would say, I would grab this this foot here, and what we can do, we can either increase the foot roll here, or we can maybe pull this guy a little bit forward, so the knee is not gonna be in that way of frame 11, so it's not gonna go on the other frame. But also we maybe want to increase a little bit both of them, just a tiny bit. Exactly. So we're not gonna have that twig anymore on the knee. And of course, let's check the other foot as well. So it looks exactly over here, I think. It's going crazy a little bit. So what we can do, we can pull this guy a little bit backwards and play around a little bit more with the foot roll. So actually we can keep the same position, and now we shouldn't have that problem anymore. Okay. Let's pull maybe this backwards again. Exactly. It's all good. Okay. So if we press play now, we're able to have a good walk cycle. So once we're happy with our walk cycle, another thing that we have to consider is to work a little bit on the hip, and if we want also on the squash and stretch. I think I'm quite happy about the walk cycle for now. We can always make adjustments later. It doesn't matter. But can you see that the hip is pretty stuck. So what we want to do, we want to make this hip rotating a little bit and leaning forward every step it does. So in order to do that, we can just grab the hip, and we may want to work in the perspective view, because otherwise from the side we can't really see what is going on. So what I would suggest to do, as you can see, we don't have any rotation at the moment. What we can do is just basically the rotation that we put at the beginning. So the body is leaning a little bit like towards the ground. So what I would suggest is to grab this control, press R on your keyboard, press E on your keyboard. E is the shortcut for the rotation. And what we can do, we can rotate this guy a little bit. Since this one is the foot that is touching the ground, the weight is basically gonna go on this foot here, because the other one it's in the air, so you don't have like weight. So I would say we can rotate this guy a little bit and also rotate it. We can face. Let's press. If you wanna, for example, now I was trying to rotate the rotate Y control, and for some reason it was basically at the same size as the hip control. So whenever you try to rotate, something weird is gonna happen, like this. So if you wanna increase or decrease the controllers, you can just press plus or minus on your keyboard. So you're sure that you're just using these controls and not grabbing something else. So let's just put this guy a little bit like this, and I would say like this. So I'm happy with this position. So we can set this position here. We're not on frame 1, it doesn't matter. Let's set this position here. So let's press S, and then we can open up our rotation controllers and quickly grab the keyframes here and bring them back to keyframe 1. So with shift pressed and middle button of your mouse, let's drag them back to frame 1. So since this is gonna be a walk cycle, we need to copy this position here at the end. So let's go at frame 25 and press S. And we need to change position at frame 13, which is basically halfway through a work cycle, and it's the moment where the other foot is basically touching the ground. This. So if we wanna do something, we can just change the values here by keeping these values here and make it opposite. So since this one is minus 5.9, we can just delete the minus and enter the opposite. So as you can see, the direction is changed, and we're gonna do the same for this one. So let's just get rid of the minus. So now we basically have the same position, but the opposite, with opposite values. If maybe it's a little bit too exaggerated or something, we can just like adjust it a little bit, and now it's perfect. So if we go back at the beginning now, we're able to see that our walk cycle is a little bit more convincing. So another thing that we can add is the squash and stretch. And once we've done that, what are we gonna do? So we're gonna approach this walk cycle by just I'll just gonna explain you quickly what are we gonna do, and I'll show you everything later. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a cycle. So we're gonna select everything and apply the cycle. So this loop is gonna repeat basically to the infinity. And what we're gonna do, we're just gonna attach our character. We're just gonna move our root control so our character can actually move forward. Or we can also create a path that the character can follow. So for now, what we want to do, we just want to move all of our controllers in order to have a good cycle. And then once we've done that, we can make this, we can repeat this. So, and of course, before doing that, we can also offset some of our keyframes, so the movement will result much more realistic, and I'll show you later how to do it. So for now, let's put a little bit of squash and stretch. So for example, I would just add a little bit of squash the moment that we have the down position. So for example, I will put it at frame 7, just to frame 7. We can squish this guy a little bit, maybe, yeah, minus 0.12 could be a nice little squash. And then at halfway, we're gonna go back to our normal position, which was 0. So we can just type in 0 on the translate Y. And then at frame 19, we can either copy the same position at frame 7, so it was minus 0.12. Either we can make it again, but to make everything equal, I would just copy this value here. So we can either copy the value here and then paste it here in a translate Y, or either copy the keyframe. It's exactly the same. So now we also have just a tiny bit of squish and stretch, which is really nice. It's starting to look really nice. So what I would suggest now to do, we can start offsetting just a tiny bit, maybe the hip control and the squish and stretch control, so in order to not have all of the movements happening at the same moment. So let's grab our keyframe here, and basically to offset something, what we just have to do, it's actually really easy and straightforward. It means that this movement will come a little bit later than the previous one. So since everything is starting at frame 1, we may want to offset this, for example, at frame 2 or frame 3 or frame 4. As long as it starts a little bit late is okay. So what we want to do, we want to offset this guy, I would say maybe 2 frames. So the start is going to be frame 3. So we're going to grab everything. If you don't have all of your keyframe here in the graph editor, just press A. So they're going to be all framed in our graph editor. And what we're going to do, we're just going to press our move tool, which is W, otherwise you're not able to move keyframes on a graph editor. And then we're just gonna press shift, and with the middle button of our mouse, we're gonna grab the first one, and we're gonna slightly move down at frame 3. And then we're gonna do the same with our squash and stretch. So I would say maybe we can go at frame 2. We can offset just one keyframe here. So again, select everything, shift and middle button, and everything will start at frame 2. So now, in order to make everything work, since we offset stuff and in here we don't have any movement, we need to put a cycle on our controllers. Otherwise, the offset part won't work. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna select both of our feet. We're gonna select our hip. We're gonna select our squish and stretch control. And again, press A on a graph editor so everything will be framed. Zoom out a little bit and we're gonna select everything. And in order to apply curves, which is basically the a loop, what we need to do, we need to go in here in our graph editor panel under curves, and then we need to go under pre-infinity and put cycle, and then again under curves, post infinity, and then cycle again. It looks like nothing changed, but actually it has changed. But in order to see that, we need to go under view and tick the infinity box here. So as you can see now, we basically have movements to the infinity. I can keep going and it's not gonna stop. They're not actually editable keyframes, but the movement is still happening. So for example, if we press play now, we're able to see a little bit of difference, and it's really nice. So again, as you can see, the squash and stretch is happening a little bit before the hip, and the hip is happening a little bit later than the feet. So it's actually a pretty nice effect. What we can also do is to offset inside one of our controls. So for example, rotate Y. We can also offset this to another keyframe, so the rotation of the y-axis will be slightly offset. So it's gonna be actually much nicer. So again, select everything, shift and middle button, and as you can see, I can't move because I don't have my move tool activated. So now I'm able to move my keyframes. And also another thing that we need to do, we're gonna select again all of our controllers, so all of them. We're gonna press A and frame everything, and again let's select everything, and then we'll just spline everything out so everything will be perfectly splined. What about this guy? What happened to you? There you go. Exactly. As you can see, these keyframes are offsetted. So another thing that I've noticed before is this little thing happening. So it's not gonna be actually really noticeable, but if anything like this happen and your cycle it's weird for some reason, the only thing that you need to do is to actually select this keyframe and play around a little bit with the handles. So for example, if I do this on this side and then I go at the end of my cycle and I also play around with this one, so basically we just need to match these two positions here and play around with the handles in order to have a smoother walk cycle. Maybe we want to change this one a little bit more like this, and should be okay. Can also have a look at the others one. Cool. Now it's definitely much better. Let's check all of them. Let's also check the squash and stretch, which should be alright, exactly. And let's check the feet as well, maybe one at a time. We're just gonna select them and quickly let's go through our keyframes. For example, in this one, this may be okay. So if nothing weird is happening, we can just leave things as they are. But if you have a little twitch or something, you may want to check your curves. It's looking really nice. Okay. Of course, if you want to exaggerate with the squash and stretch, you're entirely free to do that. For example, if I maybe want to pull this down a little bit, it's going to be way more exaggerated, which is still nice. Maybe it's too much, we can go like halfway and we'll still look nice. Cool. Maybe we can go under show and quickly hide our NURBS curves so we can just see our walk cycle without controllers. Cool. And once you're happy with this, we can go on next stage and we can make this guy actually walking forward, because right now it's just literally walking on a spot.